What's up, everyone? Welcome to the FAA podcast. Happy Draft Friday. We had the first round coverage last night. Super awesome. Very interesting night. Full of surprises. We watched the first 14 picks be offensive players. And then we watched as 23 total offensive players went in the first round. Just crazy. Both records there. Also, we saw top 6 of the top 12 picks be quarterbacks, the fastest 6 quarterbacks in draft history as well. So lots of stuff going on last night. So that's what we're going to start with here with our draft recap. Again, kind of like Jimmy and I talked about last night. It was chalk through 6, and then it got intriguing. J.C. Latham goes to the Titans at 7. The big bomb dropped at 8 with Atlanta taking Michael Penix Jr. I was very excited about that. Cash money on that one on the long odds. The Vikings trading up one spot to get J.J. McCarthy. I know Jimmy was very happy he got his guy there. The Jets getting Olu-Fashanu then at 11. I was super happy. Bo Nix at 12 to the Broncos. Very happy about that one. I had Bo Nix to the Broncos for quite a while. Excited that he will be in Denver now. One, just like Michael Penix, another big questionable pick was Brock Bowers to the Raiders. Didn't make sense at all for most of us, and for a lot of the people on TV as well. They drafted Michael Mayer in the second round last year. They were set. They had many other needs, especially on the defense in the secondary. So that was a big question mark there. Everyone knew the Saints were taking a tackle. It ended up being Talise Fuaga there. We finally got the first defensive player off the board at 15 with the Colts, taking Laiatu Latu over Dallas Turner, which was quite a decision at the moment. The Vikings then making a move to get up to 17 to get Dallas Turner, and then it was a bunch of D-line and offensive line flip-flop there. The next couple, the Dolphins kind of shocking some people, taking edge rusher Chop Robinson instead of one of the corners, or the Graham Barton or Jackson Powers Johnson were probably the big guys, or any of the other linemen as well that were available. Kind of intriguing there. Also, interior D-line, Johnny Newton was available at the time, and still is. Big winners, my Eagles. Quinion Mitchell, they sat there at 22, didn't have to go up. They had all of the corners available at their disposal at 22. They picked the top one by a lot of people's count in Quinion Mitchell. Brian Thomas then going to Jacksonville was a really solid selection for Trent Baalke down there. The Lions getting up to get Tyrion Arnold. Wasn't as big of a fan of that one. I had other needs higher than corner for Detroit with the Carlton Davis trade. So I see why they did it, but I had other needs for them. The Packers probably getting their left tackle of the future in Jordan Morgan then at 25. Loved the Bucs Graham Barton selection, replacing Ryan Jensen at center. Wasn't a big fan of Darius Robinson to Arizona. He's more of an interior guy. Has the athleticism to play outside, but I think in a 3-4 that Arizona runs, I think that he's going to play D-end there. The Chiefs getting up to get their wide receiver in Xavier Worthy. I thought that was a pretty solid pick. The Cowboys going with Tyler Guyton, probably meaning Tyler Smith's going to stay at guard now. One of the more interesting ones as well is at the end of the night, Ricky Pearsall going to the 49ers. Does this spell the end of Deebo Samuel and or Brandon Ayuk in San Fran? We will see. And then, of course, the Panthers making a splash, moving up one pick to get into the first round, get that fifth-year option for their wide receiver in Xavier Leggett. So I was very excited, happy with all three of my team's picks. I know Jimmy was happy about the Vikings pick as well. I know our guy Danny Potter was happy about the Packers pick of Jordan Morgan. So let's get into the trades here that went down last night. We had 5 of them, 2 of them involving the Vikings. So the Vikings go up one spot to get their quarterback, number 10 overall, and a 6th rounder, number 203 from the Jets for number 11. That ended up being offensive tackle Olumiwa Fashanu, and a 4th rounder, 129, a 5th rounder, 157. So I liked it for both teams. The Vikings did their due diligence. They did not have to spend a boatload to get up into wherever, 4 or 5. They move up one spot, give up a couple picks, get one back, and I think it was a really solid deal for Kwesi Adofo-Mensah to get his guy and make sure he gets his guy versus sitting there at 11 and possibly having the Broncos or Raiders jump him for J.J. McCarthy. And for the Jets, I like it as well. They pick up, they move up from the 6th to the 5th round, and then they pick up a 4th rounder as well. I think that's very good deal for Joe Douglas on the other side. Now, the Vikings' second trade, I did not like this one. I understand Dallas Turner by many people is considered the number 1 edge rusher in the class. The Vikings getting number 17 overall from the Jags for number 23. That ended up being wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr., a 5th rounder this year, 167, and a 3rd and a 4th in 2025. I thought that was a ton to move up 6 spots. They are pretty much barren in draft capital now. They don't have a pick tonight. They do not pick until 108 now. And that was already set. But next year, they have 4 picks on my draft book anyways. A 1, 2 5s, and a 7 next year. So they're putting a lot into the basket of this year's draft and the guys that they're getting this year, J.J. McCarthy and Dallas Turner, because it's not great in terms of the 2025 draft. So we'll see, obviously, how we're looking next year in Minnesota, but I was not a big fan of this one. I understand you want to go get your guy and get your edge rush future. However, you look at who was there. Maybe the Bengals would have taken him. LA, I think the Rams definitely would have taken him. And then the Dolphins did end up taking a pass rusher as well. I think the Eagles, if Dallas Turner would have been there at 22, definitely they would have taken him as well. But yeah, I mean, probably would have been gone by 23. However, I think with where they were in the draft capital area in terms of this year and next year, I wasn't that big of a fan of kind of throwing away the 2025 draft picks. This one I was also not a fan of. The Lions getting up to number 24 to draft corner Tyrion Arnold. They also get a 2025 7th round pick from the Cowboys for number 29, which ended up being offensive tackle Tyler Guyton, and a 3rd rounder, number 73. I thought a 3rd rounder to move up 5 spots. I understand that's not that crazy, especially like I told Jimmy in the back end. He's like, that's all it took. I was like, yeah, 5 spots at the back end of the first round. 3rd rounder can usually get it done. I just thought the Lions could have used that 3rd rounder. Just checking on what they have still. So yeah, they already didn't have a fourth because of the Carlton Davis trade. And so they have no third, no fourth now. So they have a second, luckily, but then they're not picking for after they pick at 61 in the second round. They don't pick for another 103 picks until 164 in the fifth round. So that was a little bit questionable. And again, I wasn't a fan of the pick for Detroit. I had I had other needs for Detroit. I didn't even have corner on my. I had edge. Edge was my number one need, and obviously the edge market wasn't there with Chop Robinson, Jared Verse, Dallas Turner, and Laiatu Latu already gone. Darius Robinson would have been an intriguing one, but and then wide receiver was our next one. So I thought maybe Xavier Worthy, Lad McConkey, I think would have been great as well. And then interior O-line, Graham Barton was still on the board, as was Jax Powers Johnson. Safety and linebacker, there weren't any guys that went in the first round for those two. So I thought there were other areas they could have went. It's not a terrible selection, but I wasn't that big of a fan. And for Dallas, it's a great move. They pick up an extra third round pick. Now they have three picks tonight, a second at 56, the third at 73, and the third at 87. So I think it's a good job by Jerry Jones to get that extra premium selection for his Dallas Cowboys. Next one was the Chiefs going to get their wide receiver, Xavier Worthy, at 28. They got number 28, a fourth rounder, number 133, a seventh rounder, number 248 from the Bills for number 32, a third rounder, number 95, and a seventh, number 221. Buffalo, I really enjoyed what they did. In terms of getting the receiver that everyone thought they were going to get, probably not the greatest thing that they gave one of their biggest conference rivals a weapon. However, to get the picks, they are pretty stacked. They have 10 picks, and they moved up in both of the trades that they did. Talk about the next one in a second, but this gives them now 3 picks tonight. They already had number 60, and now they add number 95. They did not have a third rounder because of the Rasul Douglas trade. So this gives them a third round pick now. Now they have a pick, at least one in each of the remaining rounds. So I thought it was good for that reason for Buffalo, picking up an extra a third round pick there. And for the Chiefs, they liked who they liked. They wanted their guy from Patrick Mahomes, and I think it was a great selection on Kansas City's part, getting a speedster that can kind of do the same thing as Hollywood Brown can, but he's going to be the long-term future while Hollywood's just signed for this season. And the Chiefs, on the other hand, they have 7 picks still, just 1 tonight now. And the Bills' other trade, the final pick of the draft of the first round, the Panthers getting number 32 overall, turning that into wide receiver Xavier Leggett. And they also got a 6th rounder, number 200 from the Bills for their second round pick, number 33, and 5th rounder, number 141. So again, I think this one was a pretty good trade as well. We'll see what Buffalo does at 33 to start the night tonight. But in terms of Carolina, to not give up a pick, to do a 2-for-2 was really, I think, a big goal for them. I think that was to maintain the total number of picks you have, which they do have 7. They have 1 in each round. I think that was big. And they didn't have a 6th rounder. They turned a 5th into a 6th, moved down 59 spots. But to get their guy at 32 and that 5th-year option, I said about it last night. Then I talked to John about it during the mock draft, our final mock draft on Wednesday. And I was like, dude, like the 5th-year option is real. I think it definitely adds value to a trade. And to have that extra year of contract for a guy is a big deal. So Panthers are able to have that now with hopefully a future star in Xavier Leggett. All right, the rest of the news here, let's go to college football, the transfer portal. So Texas running back Savion Red, he is in the portal, former quarterback as well. He can play Wildcat. He can throw the ball. So interesting to see where he goes. Nebraska quarterback Jeff Sims, he visited with Arizona State. They have an opening. Jaden Rashada gone now. We'll talk about him in a second. Iowa quarterback Deacon Hill, he is in the portal. So interesting times in at Iowa with the quarterback situation. Colorado running back Dylan Edwards, he is in the portal. Kansas State, Ole Miss are the teams to watch for him. LSU running back John Emery is in the portal, as is Michigan State running back Jalen Berger. Michigan State defense tackle Simeon Barrow, he has visited with Miami and Missouri. Louisville edge rusher Tyler Barron, he is back in the portal, transferred from Tennessee to Louisville. Originally transferred from Tennessee to Ole Miss to Louisville. And this past transfer window, now he is back in the portal. Ole Miss looks like he might be returning to Lane Kiffin's squad, and that would be a big boost to the Rebels defense. Penn State wide receiver Keandre Lambert-Smith, he has landed at Auburn. So big pickup for the Tigers there and to help their offense out. Colorado State wide receiver Justice Ross Simmons, he has committed to Syracuse. So Fran Brown there at the Q is getting a good one. Over 500 receiving yards last year for Ross Simmons. Arizona State quarterback Jaden Rashada, he has found a home. It is Athens, Georgia. Super excited to have him in red and black. I think there's a lot of talent there. Former number 1 overall recruit in the class of 2023, I believe. True freshman season last year. Played decently well after the stuff with Florida coming to Arizona State. There's definitely a lot of talent there. Just has to refine it. He's going to get a chance to do that sitting down behind Carson Beck for this year. And we'll see if he can be the future of at the position for Kirby Smart there in Athens. Maryland tight end Corey Dyches, originally committed to Charlotte. He has now flipped to Cal. So the Golden Bears, big pickup. I'm a big fan of Corey Dyches there and Maryland Terrapins. So I think that's going to be a good one for Cal this season. UCLA quarterback Colin Schlee, he is in the portal, visited Virginia Tech and Kentucky. So 2 programs to watch. Kentucky, I don't see anymore as much as they got Brock Vandegrift in the last window from Georgia. But Virginia Tech is definitely still in need of a quarterback. Miami, Ohio running back Rashad Amos, he has committed to Colorado. So Colorado has gotten massive pickups at the running back position the last week or so. Picking up Amos here, excellent player for the Miami Redhawks. They also got Dallin Hayden from Ohio State. So that twosome is going to be fantastic, I think, for Coach Prime this year if the O-line is upgraded and they can find some holes in the running game. And final transfer portal news, Michigan State wide receiver Antonio Gates Jr., he has withdrawn from the portal, so he will return to Sparty and seems like he's going to play for Michigan State this season. And one last college football news. I think it deserves a big round of applause. Former USC running back Reggie Bush had his 2005 Heisman Trophy reinstated, and he's going to regain possession from the Heisman Trust. So I think definite applause in order for Reggie Bush. Much deserved. The Heisman Trust finally said that the the world of the landscape of college football has dramatically changed. So I don't know what ruling affected that, but he is getting his Heisman back, thankfully. UFL news: a couple IR guys. The Stallions, they placed kicker Chris Blewett on IR. Ramiz Ahmed 4 for 4 last week, including the game winner against the DC Defenders. The Defenders, they placed defense tackle Joe Wallace on IR. That's a big loss on the defensive side of the ball. Big Joe Wallace in the middle of that defense, usually stuffing the run. So pretty tough one there for DC. And the Battlehawks lost a couple guys as well. Running back Mateo Durant and linebacker Callahan O'Reilly both placed on IR. So unless these guys, well, I guess they could still come back week 9 or week 10. I guess it would be. But I was gonna say, unless these guys unless their teams make the playoffs, they will not be able to be back. But I think that's really for guys that are placed on IR this coming week, since this weekend is week 5. And Mateo Durant, big loss. He had a great 100-yard performance and then went down. Callahan O'Reilly also, rookie. He was having a good season, 12 tackle performance a couple weeks ago in the place of Mike Rose. And then releases, the Renegades. They waived kicker Taylor Russolino. Jonathan Garibay, the new kicker, went 1 for 1 last week, I think. Defenders, they waived running back Puka Williams Jr. Makes sense. Jaquandre White came in last week, played excellently in the backup role to Cameron Harris. The Panthers, they waived wide receiver Jordan Sewell. Interesting. He was pretty good with the Philadelphia Stars last year in the USFL. Just could not find the footing there in Michigan. And then the Battlehawks, they released corner Channing Stribling, another former Philadelphia Star, not really utilized that much in St. Louis. NFL news. There's a bunch of it. The Chiefs, they signed Andy Reid, GM Brett Veach to contract extensions through 2029. So the head honchos there in KC are still going to be there for the foreseeable future as they try to three-peat. The Texans have new uniforms, and they are interesting. I'm kind of in on them, but I'm kind of not at the same time, to be honest. So here they are. Let's get this one. I think is a good picture here. Kind of highlights most of the. So I kind of like this. This red 3 with the light blue outline. That's kind of nice. I like the red jerseys, the red and black. That's pretty solid. The one I didn't like, I like this red helmet as well. The kind of chrome red with the horns. I'm not a fan of this H helmet though. The black helmet, or I don't know if it's black or dark blue. The Texans dark blue color there, but this light blue H, I'm not a fan. I think if they would have done like the normal Texans logo and made it light blue instead, maybe I would have been all right with that. But like this, yeah, like put this logo on the helmet. I like if you put that right there. I'm a fan of that. And I'm okay with the H being right here. I just don't like it on the helmet. John does. Our guy John does like it. But of course, this was the, I think, just a little bit updated version of their normal home jersey there with the white numbers and the navy blue jersey. And then the The one thing I don't like about the white jersey is these like horns things that come in. I guess they're kind of on the red too. But I think because they're black on the red, it kind of, or navy, whatever, it's hard to tell. But I think the the horns on the red one are kind of are different. I kind of like those on the red, but I'm not a big fan of them on the white jersey. But overall, I like the Texans' new unis. I think it's pretty solid, and like I said, I really do like these jerseys here, the navy blue with the light blue outline of the red numbers. I think those are excellent, and like I said, I like this logo. They just plaque this on for the H. I would be okay with that helmet, but that's my fashion advice for the day for the Texans. Back to the news, though. The NFL, they reinstated Eagles corner Isaiah Rodgers from his one-year gambling suspension. That's a big boost to Philadelphia. Isaiah Rodgers was an excellent player with the Indianapolis Colts before his suspension. And now 1 year later, finally going to be able to play for Philadelphia. They signed him even after he was suspended. And they knew what kind of player they were getting. Philadelphia has historically been a team that has taken chances on players, taken second chances on players. You think about a guy like Michael Vick, who had a really good couple years in Philadelphia after his release from prison. So I'm excited to see Isaiah Rodgers and what he can add to this secondary this year. The Bears. So they are proposing a $5 billion stadium, lakefront stadium project here. And it looks absolutely awesome. I just wish the government was on board, because this place would be crazy. Like this is the view that I really like. You can kind of see the whole complex that they're trying to build. They want this open-ended, or it looks open-ended. I guess it's glass. But they want this so you can see out to the city. And the dome overall is going to kind of look like that with the translucent roof. There you got the harbor here. And like I said, this end is going to point toward the city. As you can see, it points toward the skyline so you can see out, which would be just awesome. Domed stadium also means that you're going to be able to host things like the Super Bowl, things like Final Fours, NBA Finals, or whatever, college football playoff. So, and this also, they want to build, you can see there's baseball fields, probably some soccer fields as well. They want to build this area. There's going to be like a shopping mall area. The train comes right in here. So, you know, this looks super awesome, and I'd be really excited to go to this if they can get the people on board that they need to get. Here's the kind of back end where you can walk up to the stadium. There's shopping areas here. They want to kind of have an ice rink as well in the winter. The governor of Illinois, though, apparently is not in. Apparently, they don't like it. It wouldn't change. It would just extend the taxes, I think they said, for the hotel taxes. So $3.2 billion for the stadium, $1.5 billion in infrastructure. The team said that they would add green and open space. So they have $2.025 billion from the Bears, $300 million from the NFL loan, and $900 million in bonds from the Illinois Sports Facilities Authority. That's what it would take in order to get this thing going. Like I said, they would extend the 2% hotel tax in the Illinois Sports Facility Authority there, and then they're saying it would generate $8 billion in economic impact for the region, and it would take 5 years to build, which is kind of crazy, but 3 different phases over 5 years. The stadium lease for Soldier Field runs through 2033, so that's the biggest issue there. And unfortunately, like I said, the mayor, the governor doesn't seem to like it. They don't want the taxpayers to have to pay for the infrastructure and whatnot. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm a big fan of it. I really enjoyed the renderings that I saw and what I showed y'all. But that's something that we're gonna have to see if they can lobby the policymakers and get this thing off the ground. In terms of the Lions, no deal is imminent for Lions QB Jared Goff. Lions doing some deals, which we'll talk about in a second, right before the draft, but not for Jared Goff at this moment in time. The Bengals have a couple of situations on their hand, which we talked about last night a little bit. Defensive end Trey Hendrickson, wide receiver T. Higgins on the franchise tag. They both have requested trades from Cincinnati. I think Hendrickson would be more likely than T. Higgins, potentially. I don't know. We'll see. The Commanders, they are going to retire defensive back Darrell Green's number 28 at a game this season. Very much deserved. One of the best players in Washington football history. And I really enjoyed the Commanders video that they had. I was disappointed, though. Why was Joe Gibbs not there? I don't know. Maybe he was... Where are we racing this week? I can't read, but maybe he was already at the NASCAR track, or maybe he couldn't make it up from their shop in Charlotte. The NFL has approved Guardian caps for in-game use this season. So the little things that a lot of the guys wear on their helmets in practice to protect from concussions or help protect even more from concussions than the helmets do. It's gonna be weird if a guy wears it in the game. I don't see, especially like, I know it's not probably thought about a lot, but aerodynamically, you're not going to be as fast with that on, and at least I don't think. So I don't know. I hope none of the guys wear it. That's not me like saying that I want the guys to get concussions. It's just like, it's going to look weird if they do. And I just don't like that much change to football. Like, we've already changed a lot and we've made it a lot safer, but I think that's going a little too far there. Commissioner Goodell. So he was on the Pat McAfee show the other day, and he was mulling a lot of stuff. He talked about the future of the league and where he sees it hopefully going. He thinks an 18-game schedule is something that potentially will come down the road. 18 regular season games, 2 preseason games, so you're cutting one off of the current format of 3 and 17. Again, I hate cutting preseason games. I love it. I know many people don't like them, but for one, it's a great way for the coaching staff to evaluate the roster. I know a lot of teams are doing more of joint practices, and that's how they're evaluating, but it's just not the same as game situation and actually tackling. 2, I think preseason is a great way for families to enjoy football, especially when you have younger kids, getting them into the game of football at a much, much cheaper price than going to a regular season game. And it doesn't matter. The score doesn't matter and whatnot. So it's all about fun in preseason games. So I think that's why those 2 reasons alone for me are enough that I really enjoy preseason. And with the 18-game schedule, Roger Goodell envisions a President's Day weekend Super Bowl, which that would mean that we would get Monday off, as most people have President's Day off. So I think that's great. I would be all for that. I've always said I think we need to make a national holiday. Super Bowl Monday needs to be a day that people get off anyways. So we already have off. Why not? And then a big one, he said possibly in the next 10 years, we could see as many as 16 international regular season games a season. They're kind of trying to expand the international game. And Roger would like eventually the league to get up to 16 per season. He said probably not a division or a team yet in internationally, but that's probably longer than 10-year plan. Fifth-year option. So the fifth-year option deadline is coming down the pike. The guys that got theirs picked up: Broncos corner Pat Surtain II, Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase, Cowboys linebacker Micah Parsons, and Panthers corner J.C. Horn. Not really any shockers there. J.C. Horn potentially, but I really like all four of those guys getting theirs picked up. The Steelers, they are not expected to pick up Justin Fields, quarterback Justin Fields, $25 million fifth-year option. As expected, the Steelers want to see how 2024 plays out with him and Russell Wilson. Re-signings and extensions. Let's talk about money here. The Lions, they signed wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown to a 4-year, $120 million extension, $77 million guaranteed. Became the highest paid receiver for about a couple hours. But his teammate also got paid. Offensive tackle Penei Sewell, 4 years, $112 million extension, $85 million guaranteed there for Penei Sewell. He becomes the highest paid offensive lineman in NFL history. Both very much deserving. I was kind of shocked about Amon-Ra. I know Amon-Ra's an awesome player, but he just never seems to come up in the conversation when you're talking about the best wide receivers in the league, the Jamar Chase, the Justin Jefferson, the A.J. Browns, Tyreek Hill, and whatnot. But he's paid like it now. So, and I mean, he does have the stats to back it up. I'm not saying he doesn't, but both guys very much deserved. Love those deals for those two gentlemen. And another guy got paid as well. He is the highest paid receiver in NFL history right now. Eagles, they signed wide receiver A.J. Brown, 3 years, $96 million extension, $84 million guaranteed there. And, of course, I had to wear his jersey today for that reason. Love this deal. The Eagles, I keep saying we got Quinyon Mitchell last night. The Eagles, GM Howie Roseman, give him executive of the year right now. I don't care if the season hasn't even played. Give him executive of the year. A couple lower level signings. The Bengals, they re-signed exclusive rights free agent quarterback Jake Browning to a 2-year deal, so he stays in Cincinnati. And then the Ravens, they signed wide receiver Rashad Bateman to a 2-year extension as well through 2026. And the Bengals also signing Falcons quarterback Logan Woodside, filling out their quarterback room. Potentially could add another quarterback, though, as well. I had QB3 as one of the needs for Cincinnati, so could see if they get a developmental quarterback in the draft as well. And a couple of visits. The Texans, they hosted Jags defensive end Dwayne Smoot, continuing to do their due diligence on some veteran pass rush. And the Cowboys hosting an old friend, Patriots running back Ezekiel Elliott. There is some mutual interest there. No deal yet. Don't believe that would come until after the draft. So we'll see if Zeke returns to Dallas in 2024 or not. All right, the UFL pick standings here. Yeah, Jimmy, excellent week last week. 3-1. He got the Brahmas Lone Wolf right. Over the Michigan Panthers. Alec also got a lone wolf right. He got the Birmingham Stallions right over the DC Defenders. Jimmy and I, we keep letting him pick lone wolf the Stallions there. But he did lose a lone wolf as well. He lost his Arlington Renegades to the Houston Roughnecks. I did not have a lone wolf last week. So I was 2-2 as well. So Jimmy has now overtaken me in top spot. We were tied last week, but he got me by 1 game. Now he's at 10-6. I'm sitting at 9-7. Alec is still at 500, 8-8. 2 games back. So the first game is tomorrow. The Brahmas, at the Renegades. And wouldn't you know it, Alec is lone wolfing his Arlington Renegades. He told me that this is the week that the Renegades pick hits. I don't believe him. I don't believe that the Renegades team has enough. The defense is still not very good, even though they only allowed 17 points last week to Houston. I cannot believe this team was the first team in the UFL to allow 100 points. That's what they're exactly at. That was their lowest defensive performance this year. But I just don't see it. They are tied for last with Michigan and St. Louis in total turnovers with 3 through 4 games. So I just think the Brahmas, I was really impressed by Quentin Dormady last week. Did not think he was going to be able to play that well in Michigan like he did. Now they're in Arlington. I think this Brahmas team is on the right track, and Wade Phillips has them believing. So, and this defense is the second best defense in terms of points allowed per game in the UFL, 17.8 points per game. That's second. They're also fourth in yards allowed per game, 259.3. Second in sacks. They have 15, just 2 short of Birmingham's incredible 17. They're also tied for second in the league with 6 total turnovers with Birmingham. So this team is opportunistic on defense, and that's why I kind of like the Brahmas in this one. Total is 42.5. Most of the lines this weekend, I'm not a fan. I only placed one bet so far, and it wasn't on this game. I would lean over because of the Renegades defense, but it's a very difficult line. If it were a little higher, I'd like the under, but 42.5, I just don't really have a play on that one. This is 7 p.m. on Fox. It's a regional broadcast this week, once again on Fox tomorrow. The other game at 7, the Stallions at the Roughnecks, and we are all going Birmingham. Makes a lot of sense. Houston in a world of hurt. Reed Sinnott didn't play terribly. However, and the Roughnecks defense got their first win last week. They allowed only 9 points, which was by far, or not really by far, but they only allowed 12 against Memphis in week 1. But yeah, they allowed 9 points last week. I believe that's tied for the lowest score this year in the UFL with the Brahmas in week 4 as well. So, yeah, I really like the Birmingham Stallions, though. This defense is outstanding, 14.3 points per game. That is 3.5 points better than the Brahmas sitting in second. They're also much, much better in terms of yards per game allowed, just 232.5. That's 6 yards better than the second place St. Louis Battlehawks. And I mentioned they lead the league in sacks. 17 through 4 games is ridiculous. Now, they didn't have any sacks last week against the DC Defenders, second in the league, tied for second in the league with 6 turnovers on defense as well. So I just think this team's rolling. Don't really like the 7.5. I think Houston could get close to that. Not as confident as I was with the DC 7 last weekend, but I think that Birmingham's going to win this one. I just don't think Curtis Johnson's team is that good. 42.5 also for this game here. Yeah, it's another tough one. I just don't really have a play on it because the two defenses are like too far apart for me. Also, like I said, 7 p.m. on Fox regional broadcast. On Sunday, the Battlehawks, 3-point favorites in Audi Field against the DC Defenders, coming off a tough loss in Birmingham. And hell yeah, I am lone wolfing my DC Defenders, dude. Why wouldn't I be? Like, it's my team for one, but for two, do y'all not understand Audi Field is the main rival to the Dome in St. Louis for best home field advantage in the UFL? Maybe Birmingham as well, but Audi Field's rocking. When the beer snake is going, they've won 10 straight games at Audi Field. It's going to be 11. This is not going to be the team that they lose to. They cannot afford to lose this game as well to stay in the XFL race, the XFL division race. So I think DC gets it done here. They were very good playing against Birmingham last week. The defense was outstanding. If they could have just got a damn touchdown instead of a field goal at the end, they would have won, I think. So I'm picking my DC Defenders to shut down the Battlehawks offense and get this thing done. Hopefully Greg Williams has a great game play calling for the DC defense. Total is the highest of the week, 47. I lean the over, all right? I can see why you would want the under. 47 is a lot, especially with the clock rules in this league. I do lean the over. I think this potentially could be an offensive shootout in DC. But, again, I don't really like it. It's a very difficult line. If it were a little less, I would really like the over. If it were a little more, I'd really like the under. But it's at 47. It's in a gray territory, and I'm just not touching it at current point value there. And I lean also to Defenders +3. Like I said, I have them winning. 12 p.m. on ESPN. And then the final game of the weekend, the Panthers at the Showboats. And Alec going on a limb again. He is rolling with the Michigan Panthers in Memphis. Of course, the Memphis Showboats were my USFL team from last year as well, so I continue to support them also. I think Case Cook is going to have a good day. It's tough defense to play against in Michigan. But I like the 1.5 for Memphis. The Panthers, Danny Etling is going to get his first start of the year. Played pretty well last week against Houston after E.J. Perry got injured. Only missed 3 out of his 14 passes. However, I think this Memphis defense is going to show up and show out at home. I think Vinny Papali is going to be a big play threat on the Memphis offense. And if they can protect Case Cookus, give him time, I think they can win this game and cover that 1.5 spread for you. So that's what I like in this one. 40.5, I lean the under, especially if it's at 41. 3 p.m. on Fox. And before we get to the end of the show here, round 2 preview. So Ian Rappaport is saying, yeah, of course, there's a ton of trade offers right now for Buffalo at number 33. I think they will stick, though. For a wide receiver. I think, or at least Rappaport says there's probably going to be a lot of action early, but we'll see what the Bills do at 33, and then we could get some early action here in round 2 to start the night off in just over an hour. Really excited for day 2 of the draft. That is the show for today. Thank y'all for watching. Next Friday, we'll be back talking UFL Week 6. We will kind of recap and see what we think about the first half of the season and see what our predictions are for the second half of the year and into the playoffs. Of course, we'll have all your UFL game previews and your college football and NFL news, UFL news as well. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcast on Instagram and X, FAA_bets as well on X. FAApodcast.com is our website. You can check us out here on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and TikTok at Football Addicts Anon. Thank you all for watching. Happy Draft Friday. Enjoy UFL Week 5 as well, and we will see y'all back on Monday.